everyone. My name is Gail Reyes Galan, and welcome to our peaceful classroom. Our peaceful classroom is a dedicated space where parents, educators, and other professionals come together to talk about ideas on how we may promote positivity and peace in the lives of our children and our teens. Today, and in the next two other episodes, we will be focusing our discussion on one very essential aspect of well being: our emotional wellness. Emotional wellness is defined as coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. Before we even talk about our students or our children, we need to examine more closely our own emotional breakdowns and breakthroughs as parents. We will be doing this by listening to our protagonist, Dr. Jowima Ang-Reyes. She earned her PH.D. in Family Studies at Miriam College. She is an educator and a registered social worker specializing in grief work and strengths-based family intervention. As a social worker and human rights advocate, Dr. Reyes has worked closely with abused women and children. Let's listen to Dr. Reyes as she describes what she considers to be her breakdown moments in the areas of emotional wellness. She speaks to us today using the lens of parents.
Good day to everyone. I'm Jowima, but my friends call me Joey. I'd like to invite you this morning to share with me for a few minutes to talk about us. Now, who's us? Of course, we as parents. I would like to talk about our own emotional resilience zone. Okay, so why our own emotional resilience zone? Well, during this time of situation right now, a lot of things have been happening, specifically the pandemic. We became the backbone since the lockdown in March of our family, sharing with our partner the responsibility of containing, maintaining the wellness of our family in an overall aspect. So this morning, let's focus naman on ourselves. We as parents, why do we need to look into our own emotional balance? What are some of the signs that would tell us na we might be having some emotional issues that we need to address? So share with me, bear with me as we walk through our discussion today. But first of all, before we begin, I invite you to take a coffee break. Okay, let's get a cup of coffee and take a spot where you're most comfortable, and let's just have this conversation as parents. Okay, now in time of the pandemic right now, when the first I've heard of the lockdown in March, the COVID impact of this pandemic has been tremendous in all aspects. Everyone was so surprised. We didn't know what was happening. Everybody was like sort of in panic. And as parents, the first protective thing that we do is to secure our family. Yes, so we absorb their fears. We talk about their fears, anxiety. We fortify their homes. We make sure that the nutrients, the food, it's there. And then at the same time, it's emotionally draining though, because as the months pass by, even myself, I've noticed that it's becoming more difficult and difficult to be carrying all the load of the entire family. Well, not just me, I guess. I guess the whole family as well, because of the condition that we have never had the chance to even phantom in our minds that this could be happening. It's like my son was describing it, and my son was saying it's like just waking up in this a zombie apocalypse is here. So it's a similar situation wherein all of a sudden the things that we are so used to do, no, that gives us comfort, that gives us an opportunity to share and be with other people, has suddenly halted and stopped. No? I came across the trauma resiliency model, and this is very, very useful for me. I'm a teacher as well, and I teach. And I find this really important when Elaine Kalasmir was sort of like giving the illustration of what it looks like, you know. So how am I focusing my attention during the pandemic? Emotionally, how am I doing? I guess for myself, during the first onset, March, April, I was in the red zone, you know. Sometimes negative thoughts keep recurring. Like, what are the things that keeps, entering my mind? I don't even know what this coronavirus is, you know. The impact of it long term, you know, how safe or the threat it would give us. And then sometimes post on social media out of my fear if there are new information coming in terms of the coronavirus. And my intention was not to scare people, but then I guess just to give information. Later on, I realized you have to really, really be careful in what you post, because you might be giving more panic than help. No? We complain and complain, yeah, and then seek. Sometimes I complain about so many things that all of a sudden, because everybody's in the house 24/7, and because everybody's in the house 24/7, preparing the food now becomes an agony. Like every single day, you have to really think of what to serve the family, you know? And sometimes that becomes a burden to us, no? Not that, you know, we're discounting the fact that we're also blessed because there's something that we can serve, while others are in a more difficult situation. But sometimes even parents who are so used to preparing, no, for the family, now it becomes really, really scary, and then it becomes now too much because of the compounding issues. No? There are times also you want to disconnect with others. You just don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to. I find myself in the first few weeks of not wanting to keep connection, you know, because I just wanted to just sort of sit and let things sink into me. No? And at night, sometimes trouble sleeping because you're really, really anxious of what might happen in the next few days, weeks, and months, you know. And sometimes in our own little way, we seek to control, and we become so control freak. And that's what happened to me, that I initially get upset when things are not done the way I was hoping it to be done. No? Because probably it's my way of feeling a sense of being in control of certain things, no, in our life. Specifically that the pandemic has taken or has taken so much of the liberty that we have. So in the red zone, these are challenges, you know, it makes you feel a lot of times emotionally draining for a parent, because you're not only minding, or you're not only focusing on your own well-being, but you have to look after the entire family's well-being as well. And it can be very, very challenging. Okay, so we hope that as we progress, as we just share some tips, some signs, we could progress to the blue zone in terms of being able to transcend, you know, from what the fears and anxiousness that we have, and the importance of why we have to maintain and regain our emotional wellness. What are some of the breakdowns? As again, looking back at the sharings a while ago, what are the signs of emotional pain that we as parents might be undergoing? Personality changes. What are some of them? Used to be you laugh a lot, you know, but then you find yourself lately too serious, or can you easily get angry at small things that before the pandemic came, it wasn't there. So, like, I myself noticed myself that I was becoming um, temperamental. Small things that wasn't really an issue before, all of a sudden became an issue. Specifically, like um, little things that doesn't annoy you before now becomes a big issue. Okay, uncharacteristically angry or anxious, agitated, and moody. And you cannot really derive where it's coming from. It's all of a sudden things has become a bit emotionally draining for you. You easily get angry over small things, spill over the bed, on the carpet, on the unfinished food, and then you sort of rant about it. I do rant about it. My children don't finish up their food, and I would say that, it really upsets me for the first 3 weeks, and say to them, then I told them that, a lot of people are in really difficult situation, and you should be blessed. You should feel blessed and appreciative of the things that and the food that is being served to you, whether or not, diba, you like the food or you like the ulam, diba? It's about being having this sense of gratitude. So I worry, I get affected by that as well. And then there might be signs also. I have friends also who have withdrawn from other people, in the sense that they've isolated themselves, not wanting to talk, not wanting to connect even on Facebook, just text. But the text, sometimes if you text, it will take a day or two, and sometimes for us, we just probably wanted to feel space, because all of this are so overwhelming that sometimes talking to other people, hearing about their own concern, that the difficult circumstances might be very challenging for us. So sometimes there's a withdrawal, and fourth, maybe a sign would be the self neglect. Okay, self care neglect and risky behavior. What are some of the risky behavior that sometimes you don't want to get out of bed anymore? You don't um, want to get involved in any form of activity whatsoever. You might be binge watching for the whole time, the teleserye. You don't even now monitor what the kids are doing, as long as they're entertaining themselves, And then you yourself, if you're experiencing any form of sickness, or you're diagnosed with diabetes or high blood, you sort of like not be mindful of what you eat, you know. I'm diabetic myself, and there's the first part of the lockdown that even knowing that I shouldn't be taking in so much sugar, sometimes the initial one was to eat, just sort of like comfort food. It's okay for a while, but if you sort of like continue it on, then it becomes a health issue and dangerous, for one's health. And then overcome with hopelessness. I haven't reached this part gratefully, but there are people who have been overcome by hopelessness, specifically in people with very difficult circumstances. A lot of our brothers and sisters lost their job, lost their homes, and even the thought of where to get the food that they're going to eat next is quite a problem. And that we got sort of like, oh, it's an overwhelming hopelessness that one feels. So what do we do about it? I chanced upon 3 or 4 weeks after, I chanced upon an article written by Jenna Hales from Women Health, and it talked about mental health. And she said that sadness and anxiety are normal emotions that help alerts us to protect us from and cause us to act. And this is considered to be healthy. And I sort of, when I read that, okay, calm yourself. Yeah? Being anxious, being sad on certain days, is not really something that you fall into excessive worry about. Because I guess what it's telling us is that it alerts us to protect us from and cause us to do something about it. It becomes unhealthy when these feelings are excessive, becomes excessive, becomes irrational, and ongoing and distressing, and technically interfere with your daily life. Okay? Now, I love this quote by Elaine Miller. When during the lockdown, I liked it so much, and we talk about the human body has the inner capacity to heal and restore itself, and has the wisdom that words cannot. In previous episodes, you've heard about the physical, the mental, the spiritual aspect, the social aspect of well-being, and it's interrelated into a holistic, one whole circle of balance, meaning to say, whatever affects our mind affects our body, our emotions, okay? The way we relate with other people. So, therefore, maintaining that balance, helping ourselves to regain that balance in all of those aspects becomes our greatest, sabi nga natin, protection against this pandemic. Now, why is resiliency very important? Emotional resiliency, if we define resiliency, resiliency is defined in so many ways, but I like the way Elaine Miller discussed it and say that resiliency is not just about knowing, that you have this capacity, at the back of your mind. I've gone through worse situation before, and I was able to overcome. I was able to shake all those negativity, But it has something to do also of knowing and then using it to change the situation. So it's not about knowing, yeah, I understand, I have this sadness, the emotional pain that I'm going through right now, the drain of work from home at the same time, caring for the family, caring for myself. It's one thing that you identify what are the strengths that would keep you resilient, but it's also another thing of wanting to put it to action, right? So there's two ways to consider it. Okay. Now, breaking free. How do we break free from all those challenges that we've come across? We say that we focus on maintaining to be emotionally healthy because once we are emotionally healthy, we are in control of our thoughts, your feelings, and behavior. And it's easier to understand ourselves, relate to ourselves, and to others. Well, it's normal that once in a while you get bumped out of your resilient zone. But if you are in the process or in tune with your emotional well-being, it would be a clearer pathway for you to go back to your resilient zone. Okay? Because the lens and how you feel at the world is also related to the meaning making after. The meaning making, meaning to say how you look at things would affect the way you feel about things, right? Well, a stable and good emotional health and well-being is not limited lang to being happy and confident about myself as a parent, but it's also about the capacity to be able to connect positivity and interacting with the rest of my social environment with a full sense of self-belief and realization. It's very important that the emotional balance that we have leads us to see the best in ourselves. Given this situation, we have to, see the best in ourselves and be confident that, upon reinforcing, strengthening our emotional health, we are able to be more focused, there's clarity of thoughts, specifically when dealing and caring with the family, and especially caring for ourselves emotionally. Because the demand to emotionally balance that of our family and to ourselves. I always say, we can't give something we don't have. Even as a teacher, as a mother, as a friend, the well-being, emotional well-being has to start from us first because we have to be in a state of emotional wellness. We have to, if we are not in this particular state right now, there must be things we need to do so that we can go towards that path and attain that. Now, what are some of the strategies that we can use for self-care? Now, there are breaking free from all of this gives us 5 strategies to the well-being and other more. No? First is to connect. No? We need to connect with other people to override the physical distancing that we are experiencing right now. I think it's common now because used to be they say it's social distancing, but it's becoming like a concept of isolating ourselves from others. So it's a physical distancing for health reasons and for our safety. We connect because by connecting with others, we regain and reinvent our social relationship. Either we use the social media, the phone call, letters, LBC if it's really, really far and there's no signal, and other opportunities to resume social connection. We also want to connect with our families and friends, okay? That will give us a sense of comfort and it's particularly knowing that we have people to lean on cases that we might be needing extra help. You know? When we need somebody just to listen to us, have a cup of coffee, I have virtual conversation. We can always connect with other people, find out our own passion, specifically now that everything is online. Connect with other people to reach out and be a part of new network of friends that you might be wanting to do so in the past but couldn't because of the so many things that you are doing. Second is linking. We link our emotional being with our physical health, meaning to say we have to look at our own emotional health as a parent, that it's related to how well we take care of ourselves physically, like the daily routine, exercise, doing household chores, even cleaning the floor, doing gardening, or simply making a balance of physical, emotional wellness. Why is it important to link all of that, the physicality? Because when we are healthy, our emotional well-being is okay. Our emotional being is in a more stable level that is easier for us to respond, to our own needs and to the needs of others. And we can help our bodies to be healthy because when our immune systems are okay, then our emotional, intellectual, and social wellness is also good. Three, I guess this is one of the things that excites me as the work from home scheme has started. Its work from home scheme now provides many opportunities for me to explore new things. And for us parents, this might be an opportunity, specifically those who are working, might be an opportunity for us to rekindle passion in the things that we do. And recently when I was cleaning the house, I found cross stitches. I used to love to do cross stitches 2 decades ago when I still have the luxury of time. And half finished. And I started to look into it and started to say, well, my eyes are not strong and sharper. It has aged with me, but I guess the joy it brings me when I started to, do the first stitch, the second stitch, and the fourth stitch, it might be an opportunity to rekindle those passion even by drawing, painting, writing music, cooking, sketching, storytelling that makes you happy. Sometimes reading stories for our children because we know they're happy is very good. But this time around, for our own wellness, what are the things that you really like to do that you have set aside because of the so many things? And then what does it give you a sort of pleasant feeling? Like gardening, for instance. I've never really discovered that. But right now, it's an enjoyable hobby, hobby, hobby in terms of planting small basil, planting small stuff, and really looking at it blossom and grow into plants, actual plants. And then it gives, why? Because it gives us a sense of accomplishment and joy for ourselves, you know. And this is very important because as we balance looking after the well-being of our emotional well-being of our family, we have to also take into consideration the most important emotional well-being to take care of is ourselves as parents. And I think this is the time we need to ask ourselves. If you forgot what those passions are, might be a good time to ask yourself, what are those things that I really, really want to do? Or what are the things I really want to learn but never had the opportunity to? This might be the right time to do that. Number 4, giving or sharing. I like the part of, the more you share with others in terms of tips, recipe, how to budget, family budget right now in the context of difficulty in terms of health risk. No, how do you now do? You pickle some of my friends will say, oh, you pickle na lang some of the vegetables so that if you run out of vegetable, you have something to eat inside of the house. You're not going every other day to the store or the market. Why? It's also a time of reaching out and being a part of our community to do our own share of community service. Even if right now there's physical distancing, there are many ways we can provide community services. We link up to our local community, our local barangay, might be in terms of extra goods that we have that we can give and share with other people. It can be in a form of services, linking if you have resources, you have time to on the internet. I know a friend who does all the resourcing in terms of coming up with a directory of all online hospitals who conducts online medical consults, and now after compiling few pages of it, gives it to circulate it via email to a lot of friends. So it's a way to do community service, and the physical distancing not limiting us to want to give and share with others. Number 5 is take notice. I guess this is my favorite part, when you start to shift from being entitled, I always say, to being grateful of the little blessings that we have along the way. I may not have, you always say, I might not be the perfect parent, but you do the things that you do, appreciate the things that you appreciate, and it's more of a sense of being grateful. Like, have you noticed lately how your children, in their own ways, have started to come up with their own routine to help you clean the house? For example, if they are not involved in doing or washing the dishes, doing the laundry, you can probably initiate and see how they slowly, despite being uncomfortable, if they haven't done it before, the efforts, it may not be perfect, but it's the effort that is important. Okay, the many little things we do to notice, to appreciate the things, the fact that we're living alive right now. We despite the difficulty of work from home, we do have work. Okay, despite the difficulty of serving the same diet for the next 3 days, we have food. Despite the difficulty of going from one place to the others, at least we have the ability to go to one place and the other. So it's about appreciation, us appreciating ourselves. We didn't cook this food, the way it's supposed to be cooked, but I did it. I cooked it the way it is. Now, what are some of the creative ways to build our resources? There are many, many ways. First, I think be creative about it. You go over the photographs that you have at home, the travel video that you have, and remember the favorite places, that you like most. What we do right now is that we try to write in a small board what are the places, the next areas or places that you want to visit, because it gives you something to look forward to, like for yourself and your family as well later. But it's more for yourself. Now, what were some of the favorite places that I've been to? When was the last time actually I went to my favorite place? When we go on a family vacation, most of the time as parents, we consider that when we bring family along with us, it's important to find out, what they like the most. But when was actually the last place that you visited that you really, really like? And maybe this is the time now to sort of like, Google through what are those favorite places that I would like, or bucket lists that I would like to go and visit. Create your box of resources, the memorabilia. I think we all agree, and I'm one of them. Every time we go to places, we have collections. Diba? Collection of either the refrigerator magnet, the tickets that we have, because it gives us pleasant memories. So instead of just lying on the floor anywhere you couldn't find it, create your own box, put them in one box. And in that one box, every time that you feel like, oh, you're having a hard time, go over it and, pick it up and remember, oh, this was the last time, that I watched my favorite concert. And you will remember the feeling of being happy, and it brings it back to you, and stay with it. And that could be your resource for the day, that makes you and lifts you up. Because those memories that you have, sabi nga nila, diba? Kalat lang yan eh. But no, it serves a purpose. Because those memorabilias at one point in time gives us pleasant memories. And the pleasant memories gives us emotional wellness. Okay? You can want to choose. Okay, one of the things you can do is you choose one resource, in a given time. Either you share that resource with your group or with yourself. And then notice what's happening inside of you, what you're feeling. If you are really angry and then you hold on to that resource, the heartbeat sort of like relaxes, and then your sense of well-being hopefully gets through. So what are the other things, It's okay you want to exercise alone with your family member. It's okay to be lazy at times. Ako, over the weekend, it's okay. Like Saturday morning is house chores for everybody. But Saturday afternoon is my time. I can binge watch. I can, sleep. And I can it's our free day. Free afternoon for everybody. And have fun. Okay? Embrace the sun. Go out in the sun in the morning. It's a struggle because like every day, it's like when you wake up, you have to really go out and have that sunshine. But feel the rays of the sun on your body, on your skin, and the warmth. It radiates. That sort of like makes it calming for you as well. Confront your emotions. All our emotions are valid emotions, whether happy or sad or being angry or being scared. These are all valid emotions, and we need to confront them by asking ourselves, where is this coming from? I'm extremely mad right now, but where is this coming from? Because knowing where it's coming from gives you an insight, okay, how can I now resolve this? Okay. We can be angry as parents. I lose my composure, and at times I get angry. At times I raise the level of my voice. But after you have done that, it's most important to ask yourself, where is it coming from? Why am I this upset? Why am I this angry? And by asking that question, you open the door for yourself in understanding of maybe because I feel frustrated, maybe because I feel tired, maybe because I don't want to do it. And by identifying that, it would now help you resolve that issue, address that true issue that is upsetting you or making you feel anxious. You are what you eat. I am what I eat. I have to remind myself to struggle because at times it's so easy to slip in and forget. Being diabetic, I have to be very, very careful. The calories, the sweets. And it's a conscious effort. It's a struggle, but it has to be a conscious effort. And it's sort of like helps us also, like what they're saying right now, because we don't have the freedom or the luxury of going and walking so much around. So what we eat is who we become later on. Sleep and rest is very important. Take on the hobby that you've forgotten or you wish to do. And connect with families and friends. Breaking through is about creating a self-care plan. Okay. So after you've done all of this, how do you now continue to maintain it? What can be some of the things that you do? We say how to regain because we want to go back to the resilient zone of being able to be in a state of a balanced mind, body, and spirit and emotion. Because if we are in our emotional resilient zone, we're able to handle stresses of our life. Okay? We can be annoyed, even angry, but we do not feel like we're losing our heads over it. We can be sad, but we don't feel like you will be washed away by the rivers of sorrow. So I like this very much with the community resiliency model of Elaine Carras. So how do we do? I think one of the things that is important that every night when you journal or just in your notes or in your phone, write a statement of encouragement to yourself, specifically when you're very happy, you're in a state of emotional wellness, and you're very optimistic. Write that statement to yourself as a reminder later on that there might be bad days, but there are definitely going to be good days. So write that statement to yourself. Write a statement of encouragement of how you did well, how you're doing, trying to achieve. It's not that you don't, sweat over not being perfect on many things, but appreciate, continue on with what you wish to do in terms of encouraging yourself to um, be uh, mindful of taking care of your emotional wellness as well. You can also go childhood memories, and I think one of the things that can be done, you can reintroduce this yourself. What are the things that you like to do when you were young? And now is the perfect time to do it with your kids. Okay? I bet they don't play sungka or some of the games, no? But sungka can be done, Chinese garter can be done, piko can be. What are the things that you like to do that is visible in the vicinity of your home to do? Might be exciting to engage with it. Once a week there will be a game day, so you can explore with the rest of your family and bring back a lot of happy memories when you were a child. If you are feeling emotionally challenging on several days that come to you, go back to those letters, Read your statement of encouragement to yourself. You read it, and as you read it, pay attention to what's happening inside of you emotionally. Draw attention to the feeling of calmness, of those soothing words that you wrote yourself, and remain, touch base with the positive feeling, recall the positive feeling when you were writing that, and stay on with that to help you through some of the days that you think are challenging and difficult to maintain emotional stability. Situations in life, okay, might be mildly upsetting, You think of a situation right now in your life, okay, as you sit with me, that are mildly frustrating and upsetting to you, but it's a part of your daily life. Like, for example, for myself, eating breakfast and I would be asked, what's for lunch? It upsets me because can you not just allow me to enjoy my breakfast first? Okay. So how do you manage that? How would you want to resolve that? How would you deal with that so that it would be okay for you, so that it would not escalate? Yeah, that's the thing there. It would not escalate, and it would not sort of like upset you too much that it becomes now a crisis in the family. So talk to the family. So would creating a meal, like for example, asking your children, okay, what are your favorite meals that I know how to cook? It's useless to write your favorite meals if I don't know how to cook it. Huh? So write some of your favorite meals, and as a family, you can sit together. Okay, breakfast time, lunch time for 1 week. So you can create 4 menus, sets of menus for 4 weeks. And then, so that you will not be burdened, one menu 1 week, pag natapos yun, you can repeat it after 3 weeks. So it's sort of like, alleviate some of the issues of the daily routine in life. Or perhaps, who would be now responsible for breakfast? Who would be now If your kids are bigger na, who can do lunch or dinner. Okay? Emotional resources are very important also. So when we are feeling blue, when we're feeling sad, I think we want to remember who helped us the most, in the beginning of the lockdown, when I was sad, when I was really, really down, who helped me the most? And recall the times that you were helped. No, what happened? How did you feel about it? When all of a sudden, when the lockdown happened, you don't have resources anymore. Your barangay was so strict. Nobody, and your resources at home, you weren't able to do grocery. And now it's running out. How did you feel? No, when suddenly all of a sudden everything helped arrive. Um, who made it through, the strengths that get you through. So these are the questions you ask yourself to be able to appreciate also that at times of emotional crisis, at times of emotional challenges, there are people in our lives, okay, that we can count on too. But most especially, there are internal resources that we have that we need to identify, um, utilize at this stage. Okay. So what we hope to do by doing a very simple steps for ourselves is to run through from the red zone to the violet towards on the blue zone of having the empathetic concern for others. Now you have the capacity also to be able to help others who are grieving. Because you are emotionally balanced, you can practice your skills and well-being for yourself. Remind yourself that we are all in this together. We have a community of friends and family that is supportive of one another. I am grateful for the blessings that I have despite this pandemic, despite this difficulty. There are many little things I should be celebrating, I should be happy with, and I should be grateful for. I also have the compassion for myself, I too need rest. I too need to eat on time. I need to also rest if I'm really tired. I have to sleep also. So it's about taking care of yourself as much importantly as you take care of your family. It is also about identifying what are those distressing situations that upsets me and how I can shift gear from being in emotional stress towards wanting to achieve emotional stability so that I will be able to reach out to those who might be needing my support, my families, friends, and neighbors. So thank you very much and have an emotionally enriching day for everyone. Thank you for being with me and have a good day.
Parents have different ways of reacting in a crisis situation, such as a pandemic. When we knew little about it, we were so consumed with fear and anxiety that manifested in a variety of ways. Some people's personalities changed, being unusually angry, fearful, worried, depressed, hopeless, and even helpless. Dr. Reyes talked about the importance of resiliency, but she said that it is not enough that we are able to identify our feelings or our emotions, but the ways forward is really what defines our own breakthroughs. In order to stay emotionally healthy, parents should develop strategies for self-care by connecting with people, taking care of our own physical health and the health of our family, discovering a hidden passion, showing more loving kindness, and having that genuine feeling of gratitude for what we still have and not what we have lost. To prepare you for next week's episode on emotional wellness for teachers, here's Chantal Elise Corpus, a registered psychologist who will expound further on self-care as essential in preventing burnout among parents and teachers alike.
Hello everyone, I'm here to present emotional wellness for teachers. My name is Chantal Corpus and I'm a school psychologist. So emotional wellness is something that inspires self-care, relaxation, stress reduction, and the development of inner strength. And we often do this through taking care of our emotions and how we relate to our emotions. Okay? Briefly, I will be talking about addressing stressors of teachers, expressing emotions in a healthy manner, and I will end with self-care as a prevention tool. Okay? So these are the common list of stressors of teachers in this work from home setup. Preparing for online classes, blurred boundaries, and less interactions with students and their co-teachers or colleagues. For the first two, it's actually already been discussed in the previous episodes. But just to repeat, it's to emphasize these important tips. It's very helpful to have a proper workspace at home. So whenever you're in that workspace, it's work mode. And ideally, when you're off work, ideally you also go out of that workspace. It's also helpful to follow a routine. So if your work is 8 to 5 or 9 to 6 or 8 to 4, you follow that time schedule. If it's lunchtime, 12 o'clock, go eat lunch, go relax, and you resume at 1 p.m. So this is a way for you to manage, this stressful work from home setup. And it's also very helpful to be organized with tasks. So if you have a planner, that's great, or some tool that would help you with these tasks management, to set doable or achievable goals for that day, and distributing tasks for the rest of the week so as to not overwhelm you. So especially now, a lot of teachers are so stressed with preparing with the online platform. Even if it's the same lesson, it's a different platform. As long as you're able to be organized and have a routine, it really will help with your stressors. Now, the last two stressors are really about social interactions. It's actually very helpful for one's mental health. So, I invite you to think of creative ways to connect with your students, like, let's say, either through a game, a weekly checkup with the game. It can be a checkup of where they are at in their lessons, or it can really just be a checkup on where they are, how they are, how are you doing, mental health wise, how's life, for example. And it doesn't have to be a deep sort of game, but I'm sure the students will appreciate any efforts in connecting with them. So the humanness of the interaction will still be there. It's also helpful to carve out time to connect with your co-teachers or even your friends beyond work. Okay? So maybe with all the stressors of preparing for online work, we forget to actually just connect with others, co-teachers or your friends out of work. And it's very helpful, even if it's not a daily thing, but in every week, you just carve out time to talk to them and check how they are as well. Relatedly, it's also helpful for your workplace to have a routine check-in. In our work, for example, we are a group of psychologists and guidance counselors, and even before the pandemic, we have 1 hour every week just for self-care. And it's helpful for us to sort of deload from all the work. Sometimes we play a game, sometimes it's really just kamustahan, and sometimes we talk as a big group, sometimes we have small groups. It really varies, but it's so helpful for our mental health, and I'm sure if you guys as teachers, educators also have that, that's really going to be helpful with your emotional wellness. And of course, ask for help if needed, which would address both the earlier stressors of preparing and this kind of stressor of social interaction. And let's not be afraid to ask help from others. So that's the first part, to identify your stressors and find creative ways to address them. So whatever is within your control, try your best to reduce the stressors. Another way to take care of your emotional wellness is through healthily expressing emotions. So as some of you may know, emotions are valid. Okay, whatever you feel, whether it's a positive emotion or a not so positive emotion, you are human, and so these are all natural, these are all normal, but there is a healthy way to express or to respond to these emotions. The first step would be to be aware and to acknowledge your feelings. So sometimes we have complex feelings. So for example, you have a colleague who you don't see eye to eye with, and if you have to sort of be aware of your emotions, it can be there's a little bit of irritation, maybe a little bit of anger, or maybe even sadness. I don't know, it's complex, but it's actually very helpful for you to be aware of it and to name them and to acknowledge them. That already in itself, the first step, is very good for our emotional wellness. The second step would be to allow ourselves to experience these feelings, because ironically, the nature of emotions is that the more you push them away, the more you deny them, the longer they will stay with you, which is very ironic because you don't want to experience them. The more you allow yourself to feel, let's say, angry, or to feel sad, or to feel anxious, the quicker they will be to sort of go away. The easier it would be for you to let it go. Although, of course, the duration of their stay really depends on the experience. It's so easy to push away negative emotions, but it's not exactly healthy. Now, the third one, and I think is also one of the most important things, is to respond to these emotions with a healthy behavior. One of the things I always explain in therapy is the difference between reacting to emotions versus responding to emotions. When we react, it's so automatic, okay? So when you feel angry, let's say at a colleague or a student, a reaction, an automatic reaction would be, let's say, to shout at them or to be passive-aggressive kasi galit ka, diba? So react. But to respond is to deliberately make a choice on what to do given the emotion that you're experiencing. So a response would be, okay, you know what, I'm so angry right now, I can't talk to my colleague, I will take a break first, and then I will get back to him or her later on. So the difference between the two is that it's actually, with response, it's your choice to actually do something about it. For reacting, you're allowing the emotions to sort of take hold of you. Oh, you're stressed? Okay. And then your family asks something of you and you snap at them. Galit ka, because nga, stressed ka eh. So it's your emotions taking over of your behavior. What are healthy responses to difficult emotions? Well, first, we have mindfulness, being aware of the present moment, being aware of what emotions are present with you, with kindness and compassion, meaning you don't judge yourself for feeling sad about something or you're feeling angry about something. You just let yourself feel it. So you can search more about mindfulness after this. Some express emotions through art. Okay, so music, dancing, painting, poetry. Art really connects with people, and that will definitely help with our expression of emotions in a healthy manner. Giving yourself a break is also one response. The one I mentioned a while ago, that when you're angry, you can give yourself 30 minutes to calm down if that's how long it would take. And so you're letting yourself experience the emotion, but you don't have the consequence of ruining a relationship or affecting a relationship. And talking to family and friends, social support is so helpful with regulating our emotions, and that would definitely help us also lower for highly aroused with some emotions. So these are some of the few examples, but you also can discover whatever helps you respond better in a healthy way. Unhealthy responses would be sort of like vices, right? Smoking helps us calm down, but it's not necessarily healthy for us. Okay, so I end my segment with self-care as prevention. Self-care is taking the time to pay attention to you, not in a narcissistic way, but in a way that ensures that you are being cared for by you. Okay? Having a regular self-care, as in just for you, not a work self-care, but for you to regularly do things to take care of yourself can work wonders with your emotional wellness. And we all have different ways of taking care of yourself. Other people do self-care through, let's say, skincare routine or watching TV shows. Personally, I like doing puzzles and DIY miniature pieces. It really differs per person. My husband self-cares through games and playing with his friends in this game. But that's the way we take care of our mental health. And self-care actually also prevents burnout. Before your stresses build up, self-care is a way to decompress your emotions. And that's why it's a very good prevention tool for us. And so these are the key points of my very brief segment. Pay attention to what stresses you and find ways to reduce your stressors. Make space to honor your feelings. Respond to difficult emotions in a healthy manner and regularly practice self-care. I end with this very brief mindfulness meditation. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, and may you live with peace. Thank you for listening.
As we end today's episode, ask yourselves if after many months of being in this pandemic, are you able to handle stress more effectively without being washed away by emotions? Are you able to show more compassion for yourself and for others? Are you able to shift gears from stress to stability? And do you respond more than react to things happening around you? Find out more in our next week's episode. See you again in our sacred space, our peaceful classroom.